Update. Am I the a-hole for respecting my late wife's wishes about keeping her family out? Original story. My wife unfortunately passed away last year when our daughter was only 3 months old. It was very difficult to get through, but my little girl and I are keeping it together. My daughter is 16 months now, and there's been pressure from my wife's sister to let her side of the family see my daughter. The issue is, my wife had absolutely no contact with her family since she was 18. So 16 years of not seeing them. Her home life was something she never wanted to talk about. It always made her upset, so I never pushed her to tell me. All I know is that they were manipulative and abusive in some form. She left as soon as she was 18, changed her last name, and never spoke to them again. 4 years ago, she got into contact with her older sister, and she's the only person my wife allowed into our lives. By that, I mean we met through video chat, but never actually in person. We still maintained contact after my wife passed, and we met a couple times before and during my wife's funeral. My sister-in-law called me a few weeks ago. She mentioned her parents would really like to meet their granddaughter and want to start over. They didn't attend my wife's funeral because they knew she wouldn't want them to be there. One thing my wife always made clear is that she did not want them near our daughter. Ever. I told my sister-in-law this. Well, she got very upset. She said it's been years, and yes, her parents were awful people. Again, won't say exactly what they did, but losing their daughters made them reflect on things. And they want to meet my daughter since my wife never gave them that chance. She's still trying to convince me, and so far I've said no. Each time I just feel more and more bad for denying them. But it's what my wife wanted. Her parents found my Facebook. Pretty sure sister-in-law might have told them, and I've gotten dozens of messages begging me to let my daughter know her mom's side of the family. And I shouldn't keep her from knowing her grandparents for past mistakes. None of them will leave me alone, and sister-in-law has said a few times that I may be grieving losing a wife, but to have some empathy for them losing a child. Because right now, I'm being too heartless for denying them the chance to meet the only piece of my wife they have left. I am at my wit's end with this, because I am not sure if I'm being a-hole or not. I don't know the whole reason why my wife never wanted to see them again. Even if I did though, I'd still like to honor her wish. The way they are being, however, makes it hard not to wonder if I am. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not a a-hole. All I know is they were manipulative and abusive in some form. The best prediction of future behavior is past behavior. None of them will leave me alone. I'm at my wit's end with this because I am not sure if I'm being a-hole or not. You are getting a glimpse of their manipulative tactics. One thing my wife always made clear is that she did not want them near our daughter. Ever. Honor her wish. If the family really didn't attend a funeral to respect her wishes, I'm sure they'd do the same here. Don't let them near your daughter ever, OP. And talk to a lawyer. The death of a parent can be grounds for grandparents' rights. Do not even answer. Not answering is a response, and many times better than saying no. You gotta protect your daughter the way your wife tried to protect her and herself. The only thing you know is that they were manipulative, yet your wife could get very upset if her family was mentioned. So imagine all the trauma she had to deal with. Maybe she was the space goat, and that's why her sister defends them. Either way, break contact with the sister too. Does she keep in contact with you out of genuine interest of her nephew/niece, or because she sees that the door could be slightly open to let her parents in, now that the factor didn't want them is dead? What if one day you meet with the sister and suddenly you see 2 older people with her? They won't let you escape. This is not a coincidence that now they want to be in your lives. They already wanted to insert themselves, and a channel to that was the sister, who has probably given them a lot of information and photos you may have shared with her. This sister-in-law is fighting her parents to fight for them now, and the fact that neither she nor your wife told them exactly why your wife went no contact is terrifying. She's crossing boundaries left and right. She's shown you who she is, so believe her and cut her off. Not a-hole. Do not let them have anything to do with your daughter. The last thing you want is to allow them to have a relationship with your daughter. And then after a while, you see exactly why your wife didn't want anything to do with them. Because depending where you live, if they have an established relationship with your daughter, they can go for grandparents' rights. As of right now, they have no grounds. Cut the sister-in-law off too. She's just giving you a taste of how toxic the rest of your wife's family are. Protect your child. Thank you for the advice. With everything on my plate, it's just been so overwhelming, and now this whole situation. I want to be able to honor my wife's wishes, whatever the reason was that made her cut all contact with them. And now for the update. Thank you everyone for all the lovely comments and support. I was really worn down with this whole ordeal, so all your input was so very appreciated. There were a lot of you that expressed your concerns about what my wife's family's intentions were and warned me about taking precautions to keep my daughter safe. I have taken these into consideration and have made steps to ensure they have no access to any information that could disclose our location. And yes, in the end, I did decide it was best to cut off all contact, not only with my wife's parents, but her sister too. I tried to get through to her many times about why I'd like to respect my wife's call on this since she knew her family best and what they did. Despite all the reassurance that her parents have changed, she still refused to actually say what went down. So that was not all convincing for me. Once I blocked them all, I was getting calls from different numbers the following days. I sent one final message to her sister stating they're never allowed near me or my daughter, and if they ever tried to come harass us, I will get authorities involved. Since then, it was radio silence for the last couple weeks, but I decided to play it safe a few days ago and changed my phone number. I've also deleted my Facebook since I don't use it that often, but I've put my other social media accounts on private. Got many great suggestions from many of you about how to make sure they have absolutely no access to my daughter, so I really appreciate that. I've saved a few of these comments in case I need some extra tips in the future as my daughter gets older and starts school. Since I last posted and have caught contact, I feel like I can finally breathe. You have no idea how stressful and draining the whole thing was for me. So really, thank you all for the help. I've been more at peace putting this all behind me and focusing on my beautiful little girl. Just wanted to leave this update since I know there was a lot of concern about how this would all play out. Thanks again, internet strangers. You can tell you did the right thing because they were already bringing a lot of bad energy without them being in yours or your daughter's life yet. And now never. You have no idea how stressful and draining the whole thing was for me, so really. So very true. My God, I didn't realize just how exhausted I truly was until after I completely blocked them off. Please tell me you have a will and a plan if, God forbid, anything happens to you. These people have shown themselves to be untrustworthy in concerns to your child. Oh, absolutely. We already had one prepared before my wife passed. My daughter's godparents, my sister and her husband, would be the ones to look after her. I remember reading your original post, and I'm happy to hear that you worked it out. Based on the way your sister-in-law was deflecting the question of what happened, I think the reason why your late wife went no contact, and why she never told you, would absolutely justify keeping your child away from them. The possibilities are endless, but all progressively worse. If you know if the authorities were involved or other people in your late wife's life that would have an idea, it might be worth it to look into it, / get a private investigator, just so you have that peace of mind. Regardless, you made the right decision, and best wishes. I've thought about that. But part of me isn't sure if I'd feel better or worse knowing what happened and what exactly it was that my wife had to live with in silence. I'm still thinking about it. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not allowing my sister-in-law back in my home after she found out a family member was dying, caused my cat's disappearance, and laughed about it? Right before lockdown, I invited my brother and his wife, my sister-in-law, over for dinner. We just gotten a new cat who was kiddish and still adjusting. We made a little nest for the cat in our laundry room. The room is an exterior door which we keep closed and locked 100% of the time. The cat loved the laundry room because of the warmth and the darkness / quiet. I introduced my sister-in-law to the cat. Then we went to have dinner in the dining room. My sister-in-law got a distressing call from someone on her side of the family about a dying relative. She was upset. She went into the laundry room to take the call. Upon hearing the news that the family member was about to receive last rites, she unlocked the exterior door and went outside to get fresh air, leaving the door wide open. Our cat darted out the door. We haven't seen him since. My children were heartbroken at the loss of their cat. At first, I was in a place of just talking it up to that's life. After all, my sister-in-law had just received a very upsetting call. I didn't blame her for having a strong emotional reaction. But a few months into lockdown, she started making jokes about the incident. She laughed it off when I asked her to stop because the loss of our cats was upsetting. The jokes have continued, and I've made a decision that she won't be welcome in our household until she apologizes for joking about the incident. My brother's pretty mortified, but says he doesn't want to get in the middle of it. My kids don't really care one way or the other because they're not a huge fan of her. She started complaining to other family members though, so I have to know. Reddit, am I the a-hole for banning her from the household until she apologizes for her jokes? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. That's horrible. What exactly was the funny part of that incident? You losing your cat or her family member dying? Exactly. I was wondering the same thing. What is there to joke about? The fact that she's making jokes about the situation makes me wonder if she didn't do it on purpose, opening the door knowing the cat was in the room. Not at a-hole. I get that she was upset at first, and I don't blame her for it. But to make jokes about it, and then to not stop making jokes when asked to stop, that I don't understand. I'm sorry for her loss, and I'm sorry for yours. But she's the a-hole for not apologizing. Not the a-hole. A pet is always to some degree a family member, usually more so to kids involved. Causing the cat to run away is bad, but can be explained with stressful news. Joking about it is heartless and shows a lack of empathy for the kid's situation that would make me reconsider my relationship with her if I was your brother. Not the a-hole. What a heartless person. No empathy or awareness. There's nothing funny about that situation. I can't imagine how she's not recognizing that it was forgiven only because of the grave circumstances. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to be around my husband's stepsister anymore? My female 33 husband, male 34, has a stepsister, female 34, whose every relationship she has ended up in court. She always claims it's not her fault. But when the facts come out, it doesn't always seem that way. When she was married, she was horrible to her husband, always made fun of him, yelled at him if he didn't do things for her, etc. She'd be condescending to him and would rarely let him go out to have fun. She's very overweight and very unhappy about that. Also, I have learned that she's unhappy that she doesn't have children by now. When we first started dating, my husband used to talk about how she was the worst and hated her and how awful she was. And I would tell him that he should work it out and be nice and be the bigger person. After all, it's his sibling. They since have figured it out. My husband also has a problem where when he gets mad, he gets crazy and will start lying. You can't calm him down. If I don't walk away from it, the lies and outbursts get more and more insane. Recently, my husband was mad. I think it was that I didn't clean when I said I would. He started getting more irate. And after a while, falsely claimed that I kicked him and that he was going to call the cops and destroy my life and tell them that I beat him. I did not do this. I left to create space, and because that was a scary situation. He immediately went to his stepsister. They made a plan to continue the lies. She egged him on to divorce me, defriended me in social media to create the story that I shouldn't have access to her info because it's dangerous. She'd never heard of any problems in our relationship before, until this day. No one had. I tried hard to have a good relationship with her, so it was shocking that she immediately was happy and told him what he needed to do instead of giving me the benefit of the doubt. I had to go to my mother-in-law to get my husband to stop and admit what they were doing. He then admitted the lies and also told his stepsister. She said it didn't matter and doesn't change a thing. I believe that she wants my husband to divorce me so that she doesn't have to be the only divorcee in the family. She sent him mediators and told him not to speak with me. She egged him on to get a lawyer. She since talked to him on the phone and started making up things like how she sees I'm so cold to him. This isn't true. I've asked our mutual friends and they tell me it's the opposite. I've asked his mom and she said absolutely not. I've told my husband we can work it out, but I'm extremely hurt and feel uncomfortable being around his stepsister knowing that she's trying to create a situation where he leaves me. I have no problem with him being around her. I just would not like to be, especially since neither of them have done anything to apologize about it all. And I now know she's trying to manipulate my marriage. But my husband says that's not an option for me, and is angry about that. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to be around his stepsister anymore and have dinners with her? You're the a-hole for trying to work it out. Why would you stay married to such a person? He's a copy of the sister. Sorry, I might be harsh, but geez, respect yourself. Okay, not the a-hole, but I'm so confused here. Your husband wanted to lie to get you arrested for DV. Lied to his family about it and wanted to divorce you. He has not apologized yet and refused to do the one thing you ask of him to make the relationship work, for you not to have to interact with his sister. But yet, you put all the blame on his sister as if she started all this. The name of this post should read, Am I the a-hole for not wanting to be around my husband anymore? Not the a-hole. You need to leave him. He is just as toxic. Not the a-hole. I wouldn't be around his sister anymore either. I also wouldn't be around a husband either. I'd be sure to have evidence that they lied and made it all up as well just to be safe. Knowing that your husband would lie and say those things is scary, and you forgiving him could come back to bite you. I'd run far, far away. I do. He does that stuff enough that when he gets that way, I start recording. Even with the recording, he still tried to maintain his lies.
Update. Am I the a-hole for living with my ex-girlfriend's mom after we broke up? Ex cheated and her mom kicked her out and said I could stay. Original post. Here is some backstory. I, 22 male, met my ex. Let's call her Lisa, 22 female, so it's less intense for me. Writing ex is still a lot, you know. We met in high school and started dating when we were 13. It was great. Her mother liked me and I loved Lisa. She was funny, smart, and gorgeous. We spent a lot of time at her place. I was so happy back then. I don't have parents, so I lived with my grandma, but she was more than enough. She was strong, funny in a crude way, lively, and a straight-up badass. I was 17 when she passed, and I moved in with Lisa and her mom. I was devastated, but they were very inviting. My relationship with Lisa grew. It was amazing. They helped me through it. Lisa was my rock. It was the three of us until now. Every day was similar after our high school graduation. Her mom would drop Lisa off at university, and then her mom, let's call her Jen, and I would go to work. We work on the same street, and then we'd leave at 5 p.m. and go home. Lisa would be home by then. Then we ate dinner together. It was like that for the past 2 years. I know for some that sounds boring, but I enjoy stability. I was happy, and we were saving up money for our own place. A good place. Jen never asked for rent, but she always took it because she knows how important it is to me that I contribute. Lisa and Jen were my family. I was going to marry Lisa, and Jen was my best friend. I know it's weird that my best friend is my ex-girlfriend's mom. I found out she was cheating on me last month. She accidentally sent me a text that was clearly meant for him. I was devastated and started crying. It was unbearable. Jen heard me. I showed her my phone and she just held me. Lisa came home, and instead of apologizing or making an excuse, she said with venom, I have a new and better man. Pack up. It repeats in my head most days. Jen snapped. There was screaming and swearing. Jen ended up telling Lisa she had 30 minutes to pack up. I just hid in the office and locked the door. I just couldn't handle it. I was paralyzed in that one spot. Lisa left about 2 hours later. Jen held me and said, this is your home for as long as you want. If you want to move, I'll miss you, but you'll still be family. If you want, you can stay forever. Being told that really helped me feel safe and took away some of my nerves. Sometime when I wasn't around, Lisa and her dad came by to pick her stuff up. Lisa and Jen have had a couple of major fights, but Jen made it, so I happened to never be around for most of them. Now, Lisa and her friends are giving me a hard time, sending hurtful text messages, and I just don't know how to deal with that. Lisa has been switching between calling me a loser for living with Jen and asking me for a second chance. I am never getting back together with her. I don't love her anymore. I have succeeded in avoiding any one-on-ones with Lisa, but I'm eventually going to have to talk to her. Lisa has been living with her dad. He has tried to mediate, but that was not accepted by me. Jen's stance is whether I live here or not. Her daughter is not invited to live at home. Her actions are disgusting, and she needs severe and permanent consequences. She told me that she still loves Lisa, but not the person she has become. I want to continue to live here for the time being. I sleep in the old office, which is now my room, and our old room is now the study. It's the only home I've ever had, and Jen is my best friend. A lot of people in my life think I'm responsible for Lisa being kicked out. That's what got me questioning myself. Did I take her home away? Am I the a-hole if I continue to live with my ex's mom? Sorry for ranting. I left out chunks because I'm still struggling or just missed it. Sorry it's so long. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. Live with Jen. She views you as her child. I'm 99% sure of that, and she basically adopted you when your grandmother passed. She already told you to her, you are family and you can stay. You staying or leaving doesn't change her position on Lisa, so no, you didn't take Lisa's home from her. Lisa took her home from herself when she cheated. All your moving out will do is hurt you, both you and Jen in the long run. She wants you to stay, and your home is with her, it sounds like. Seems to me you're overthinking it. I won't be moving out until it makes sense for me and Jen. We are just starting to find some sort of normality. I think we are both dealing with a lot, and having someone in your corner helps. I've lived here for over 5 years. This is the first house I've ever lived in, so I'm pretty attached. Not the a-hole. Stay at Jen's for a while. She's clearly your mom now. But most people need to move out of their parents' home eventually. Work, save up, get yourself a good place. And you freaking call her every Wednesday and Sunday after you move out and have dinner with her as often as you can. When you say goodbye at the end of the phone calls or dinners, you tell her, "I love you, Mom." Thank you, I will. I plan on living there until I can get a place that I can call my own. I only want to have moved once. No matter what, I'm going to keep that relationship. It means the world to me. Never had a mom, but I think she is. Now for the update months later. Hi, I made a post a while ago asking if I was an a-hole for living with my ex-girlfriend's mom after she kicked my ex out. Most of the info is in my first post, but to recap. My ex-girlfriend Lisa cheated on me and then said some cruel stuff, and her mom Jen kicked her out. Jen said I was welcome to live here for as long as I want. I took the breakup hard. We were 13 when we started dating, and when I was 17, my grandma passed away. I went to live with Lisa and Jen, and this house has been my home. I loved Lisa with everything I had, and Jen had become a mother figure to me. This was the first house I truly lived in, and I've lived here longer than any other place, so I call this place home. Jen choosing to let me stay meant the world to me. After the breakup, Lisa and her former friends relentlessly attacked me and blamed me for Lisa being kicked out. It became overwhelming. Being told that over and over convinced me I was at fault, but writing everything down helped, and I received some DMs that helped a lot too. Now for the actual update. A lot happened. A few days after my post, Lisa came by. We talked, just the two of us, for the first time since she was kicked out. She started off by apologizing, but immediately tried to shift the blame to me, and then to her mom. Then she asked if she could have a second chance. I said no. Then she asked if I was sleeping with her mom. I said no, that she is the only person I've ever been intimate with, and that Jen is basically my mom. Then she said, "So you're still in love with me?" with a smugness that drove me insane. I remember exactly what I told her. I don't love you. The second I found out you cheated on me, it disappeared. And I would rather drink 3 liters of elephant piss every day for the rest of my life before I would get back together with you. She slapped me and then went to the backyard and had it out with Jen. She said some of the most vile things I've ever heard in my life. I won't write them down, and I definitely won't repeat them to her mom. It was disturbing. Then Jen, in a very calm voice, said that Lisa was no longer her daughter and told her she was trespassing and needed to leave. Lisa looked shocked and then stormed off. The second Lisa left, Jen had a meltdown. It lasted hours. I was pissed off at Lisa. Jen confided in me that she hates her daughter now and doesn't want a relationship with her anymore. She started going to therapy and told me around 2 weeks ago that she's disowning Lisa, and it's what's best for her mental health. Her therapist said she can still love her daughter, but not want anything to do with her. I've been supporting her the best I can. I like being helpful. Lisa made fewer and fewer attempts to contact me. She's living with her dad. 5 days ago, I got a text from Lisa's best friend. Let's call her Kate. She was one of the few friends of Lisa's who didn't harass me and actually picked me in the breakup. We've talked a few times since then. She helped console me. She asked if she could come by with some of Lisa's friends so they could apologize. I was apprehensive, but Kate is a straight shooter, and I was curious. So they came by, and Kate said thank you for letting them come over. Then the other 3 women each took turns apologizing to me. Then they apologized to Jen for everything, and then dropped a bomb. They didn't know Lisa was cheating. Apparently, Lisa had been telling people that she only cheated because I was sleeping with her mom, and that's why she was kicked out. I asked why they thought I would ever do something like that, and why they were apologizing now. They said it was easier to think I was a cheater than to believe their best friend was a lying cunt. Their words, not mine. They told me they've cut her off. I must have looked like I didn't believe them, so they all showed me their text messages with Lisa and their social media. It seemed really important to them that I believe them, and yeah, they definitely did. They were not gentle about it, to say the least. I accepted their apology, mostly. They all left except Kate. Kate and Jen went to the backyard. I don't know what they talked about, but they were both smiling when they came back. I thanked Kate for setting them straight and being on my side throughout the breakup. She said she was just following her moral compass. I'm doing much better now, and I don't plan on moving out until the time is right for Jen and me. Jen has become my best friend, and we support each other. I have a routine I follow that really helps, and I've started sleeping better too. I mostly just wrote this because it helps me clear my mind. OP, can I just say how happy I am that you actually called the friends out? Oh, we thought that you were sleeping with her mom and got her kicked out. And why would you believe that? Seriously, more people on this sub need to do that. You did nothing wrong, bud. Good luck. Right? That moment was so satisfying. OP handled it with way more calm than most people would. Calling them out without losing it took strength, and they needed to hear how ridiculous they sounded. All I did was talk to them and ask questions. Kate's the one who made them see that Lisa was lying, and Jen kept me grounded and calm. I won't lie, I was mad that they thought that I was a cheater. These women know me. Lisa sounds unhinged, destroying everything and everyone in her path. Good riddance to her. Glad you have been vindicated and they all got to see her for who she is. When she cheated and was so cruel, it destroyed me. Then friends started harassing me. It was overwhelming. Now it feels like it's getting better. I still have trust issues though. I hope you save well for Jen's care. You know, she just sentenced her relationship with her daughter for you. I hope you at least respond well to her needs, and don't leave her when you have no benefits from her. I won't move out until it's best for the both of us, but I won't leave her. She's always going to be in my life. We work together and she is my best friend. Last story. Am I the a-hole for cutting off my friend after she ruined my birthday and caused drama with my brother? Hi Reddit, I 31 female, recently cut off my friend Mara, 28 female, and now some mutuals are saying I should forgive her and move on. I'm not sure if I'm being too harsh, so I need an outside perspective. Backstory. A couple of years ago, Mara hooked up with my brother, same age as her. He told her from the start he wasn't looking for anything serious, but she caught feelings anyway. I warned her he was a player, but she didn't listen. Long story short, she ended up keying his car and his date's car when he wouldn't answer the door one night. Charges were filed, restitution had to be paid, and it was messy. I was furious with both of them. Mara later apologized and we stayed in touch, but I definitely pulled back from the friendship. Fast forward to this year, my birthday weekend, February 2025. I live a few states away from my hometown, so Mara and 2 other friends planned to visit and celebrate with me. I was excited. I don't have many friends in my new city, and I really appreciated the gesture. The plan was dinner with my boyfriend and local people in my city, then drive to the city an hour away to party and make it a girls' weekend. Here's where it went downhill. Mara booked a same-day hair appointment without telling us. It ran late, they got to dinner 2 hours late, and we were rushed the rest of the night. I was upset, told her how I felt, and she gave me the cold shoulder for most of the night. After the club, we were trying to get back to the car. I, the local, suggested a route, but Mara insisted she knew a shortcut. She was wrong. We got lost for nearly an hour, and when I expressed my frustration, she basically told me it wasn't the time to call her out. Once we finally got back on track, she realized she lost her phone. Our designated driver friend offered to go back and look for it, but Mara started arguing with her, accusing her of not caring, and the drama exploded. She even got out of the car at a stoplight, saying we could leave her, then flipped and refused to get back in until we kicked out 2 local girls who were catching a ride with us because one had her purse stolen and needed help. At one point, she opened the car door on the interstate, and our DD had to child lock it. We didn't find her phone until 6 a.m., and after all that, I was so emotionally drained, I packed up and went home the next morning. I cried on my birthday and felt completely disrespected. The aftermath. My other 2 friends apologized sincerely. Mara went silent for 2 weeks. When she finally messaged me, it was not a real apology, more like, "You acted like a birthday bridezilla, and you should have been grateful I even came." She said I was ungrateful and that she wouldn't have cared if the roles were reversed. I told her how I felt, but she refused to take accountability. So I ended the conversation and haven't spoken to her since. Now some people are saying I should forgive her because she had good intentions and did all this for me. But honestly, between the situation with my brother and how she acted on my birthday, I'm done. So, am I the a-hole for cutting her off and not wanting to resume the friendship? Not the a-hole. Ask them to explain to you like you're a toddler what were her good intentions and what did she do for you. That woman sounds like a dumpster on fire and someone throwing old cooking oil to stop the fire. I mean, keeping her in your life after she keyed 2 people's cars because your bro didn't want to keep hitting that when he gave her fair warning? Why the heck are you surprised she ruined your birthday? Dumpster fire is the perfect way to describe this fool. I guess I'm confused why you're even here asking. When you talk to the other 2 friends, no need to be defensive. Just tell them that maybe they have more patience. But Mara is too much for you and you're trying to be mindful in creating a positive environment for yourself. Not the a-hole. Are the people who are saying to forgive her supposed to be your friends? Were they in the car with you guys that night? Yes, one of the people saying I should forgive her was in the car. The others are just people we have mutuals with. I almost guarantee that the mutual friends who weren't present have been told a very skewed version of the story. Show them this post and see what they say. Not the a-hole. I wouldn't be surprised if this was retaliation for what happened with brother. However, why were you mad at your brother? You both told her what he was like. He laid it all out. And Mara decided to catch feelings and add property damage. When I say mad, I don't mean the same type of mad that I had for my ex-friend. I was more so disappointed that he didn't listen to me either when I told him to not mess with her. And when it started getting messy, I told him that he should block her. Cut off all communication when she started acting funky and whatnot. And he didn't listen either. So it was like when he told me, "You know what happened?" I was just like, "Bro, you are so hard-headed." That's what I mean. The aftermath of being cheated on while pregnant. Update 10 months later. Original post. In April, when I was 12 weeks pregnant, I found out that my 28-year-old female, husband 28-year-old male, had recently started cheating on me with a girl at his work. And I still haven't gotten over it. We've been married since the summer of 2018, but together since the summer of 2014. It's nearly our 9-year anniversary now, and I am currently 30 weeks pregnant with our first child. I always thought that if my partner ever cheated on me, I would be out the door in a hurry, because it's a type of disrespect I could never stand for. However, I never thought it would happen to me, let alone after I had put 8.5 years into this man, plus a house, 2 cars, 2 dogs, a cat, and a baby we both wanted for many years at that point. I know I am more sensitive right now due to the pregnancy, but it's now August, and I am so tired of waking up hurting every day. After I found out, I confronted him, and he admitted that he had started sleeping with her, and at the time had done so 3 times. I was in my first trimester, and he knew how sick I had been, literally spending all day every day throwing up. My morning sickness lasted until around dinner time usually, and sleeping. He has a job that has always kept him pretty busy, but he would always check in with me throughout the day. I work from home and am self-employed, making much less money than him, but it was something we had discussed in depth after the loss of my first pregnancy and agreed that me being home and dealing with the house and pets was something we should try. Plus, we both wanted me to be a stay-at-home mom for whenever we did have a baby, so while I make less, it was something we fully agreed on together. When he would check in, it was always so sweet. He called me in between meetings, on the road driving, anytime he was free, and he would text me to announce his safe arrival every time he had to go anywhere. It was never a burden that I asked for him to check in, because we both just naturally wanted to talk to each other during free moments in the day, which is how our relationship had been for the entire duration. There was no asking at all, really. It's just how it was with us. I gave him another chance when I confronted him because I was so blindsided. It didn't make sense to me, and now it still doesn't. But I was 12 weeks along with a baby I had been wishing for years. We struggled with conceiving after our loss years ago, and I had a vision in my head of our family that I couldn't let go of. We agreed that he would go into work and end it with her the next morning, which he didn't think would be an issue because it was just sex, and they had no feelings involved. Let it be known that this girl knew about me. I had stopped in at his office many times for lunch visits with my husband, and he had photos of me on his computer and desk. So there were constant reminders that I was real for both of them. He told me in later conversations that before the affair started, she would joke with him that I'm too hot for him, and she planned on stealing me away. She apparently is bi with a heavy lean towards women, and when my husband would talk about her before the affair, I was told she was a lesbian, that he and all the guys at work, besides one, found highly unattractive. What happened when he ended it with her is, I guess, she took it all right, left, and then a few hours later came back and begged him not to leave her. He told me that she was crying and clinging to him, and there was something about abandonment issues that I truthfully did not care about because I was his partner of almost 9 years and carrying his child. He told me he had ended it though. Next, he went to get tested. There was no crossover at all while this was going on, and he was clean. He showed me all test results, as this was an important stipulation, obviously. For the next month, I watched him leave every morning and broke down as soon as he left, sometimes begging before he went to work for him to call in sick and stay home with me. I was a wreck. We had a vacation planned from months before coming up in May, and I somehow thought it would be good for us to get away and just be the 2 of us. I was counting down the seconds till that trip, keeping everything I was going through just to myself and quickly deteriorating. In that month, I lost 22 pounds because I could not eat, and every time I did, I would throw up. My husband watched me in agony, a complete shell of who I once was, trying to grow our child and not being able to stomach food literally at all. It got so bad that my whole face broke out in what looked like hives from how hard my body was trying to throw up when there was nothing left inside me every day. Like little blood vessels popped all over my skin from sobbing and puking all day. We went on our trip, and it was painful. There were good times, but also I was still so broken and had no trust in him. This whole month-long period, I felt something was still off, but he gave me access to his phone, and I would check it in front of him, and also whenever he was asleep or in the shower just to be sure. After the vacation, it got really bad for me. The intuition in my head that I felt back in April had never really gone away, but it was so incredibly loud that I felt like I was going crazy. He was telling me he loved me, reassuring me that it was really over with her, that he was going to be a good husband to me, and the best father to our daughter. And no matter how much I wanted to believe him, there was something in me telling me he was lying. While he showered one morning, I went into the bathroom to pee and his phone was sitting on his pile of work clothes for when he got out. I grabbed it and brought it with me while I peed, thinking it would be like every other time where I looked at his phone and found nothing. Instead, in his WhatsApp, there was the thread of messages with her from the night before. The day before was a long work day for him, something I dreaded even before the affair, because being apart from him for crazy hours made me miss him, but I knew there was no way to avoid it. I remember I had offered to bring him food for lunch, even though we lived an hour away from the office, and he told me not to worry about driving, that he'd bribe one of the guys into bringing him something so I didn't have to waste the gas money. In reality, she was bringing him lunch and he was texting her about it at the same time he was texting me. Those texts haunt me so badly even now. She had told him, "I miss you," and he replied the same. So clearly they had only progressed more in the last month. When she was bringing him lunch, he told her, "I just want you and a burger." And then there were some messages hours later where they laughed about getting everyone out of the office inconspicuously so they could be alone, and she said, "Now I get to have you." And reading those messages, 16 weeks pregnant and first thing in the morning, quite literally made me want to die. When confronted, he promised me that they didn't have sex, even though it sounded like it would happen in those messages, but that he had still been sleeping with her. Just not that day, I guess. This was back in May. I left him the next day after I confronted him again, and he admitted that he never actually stopped. He tried, and his story was half true, he says, that when he spoke with her, she came back crying and begging, and then apparently forced him into an empty office where she tried to go down on him. He promised me that he stopped her and shoved her away, but that she had gotten his pants down and gotten close enough to touch him before he got away from her. Nothing happened that day, he swore to me, but that in his mind it was over then, because in our initial conversation, I told him I would give him a second chance, but if he did this again, I would leave him. He counted this as doing it again, even though when he broke down and told me this, it sounded more like she assaulted him while he was saying no rather than him cheating another time. But he didn't see it that way at the time, and thought I'd leave if he told me, and figured he might as well not stop if I was just going to find out and leave him in the long run, because he had already messed up. Now, fast forward to August, I have been living alone since May. I left him the day after I found out the second time, going to stay with my aunt for a few days with my dogs. I ended up coming back to the house and kicking him out, because it didn't seem fair to me that everyone besides him had to suffer. Me being pregnant and hauling around two 6-year-old dogs who are very used to being homebodies, and were confused and stopped eating due to the stress, plus our cat who is deeply bonded to me and is used to me being home with her all day, was now left alone while he was working for 10+ hours, and all of our animals are friends. So it was really messed up for everyone but my husband, who was the one who did the wrong thing anyway. So now I am 30 weeks pregnant, preparing to sell our house and move back into my dad's house with the 3 animals and my daughter when she is born. And I'm still so hurt. I really felt like this man was the love of my life and my soulmate. All of our friends who I've spoken to about our separation have been absolutely shocked due to how out of character this was of him. I cannot afford a lawyer until the house sells, and I'm unfortunately a sorry excuse of a woman and sob whenever I think of the word divorce, even though I know that has to be one of the steps I take down the line. We were known as the couple that could handle anything together. My family was the same way because of how wonderful my husband was to me for 8.5 years. He was so emotionally supportive and sweet, and I like to think I was to him as well. I lost my mom, who was my best friend, and we together lost our first baby, and he dealt with going no contact with his mother, and we were truly each other's rock for so long through all of those moments, just to name a few. And I'm carrying his daughter, who I love deeply already. I know he hurt me and changed me as a person, but it's so incredibly hard to forget the years of happiness I had with him and see that they're seemingly over now. The crappy thing is, I would probably take him back if he came to me and said all the right things and made the right promises and made me believe him. But instead, I live alone while growing this baby and taking care of the animals we picked and have raised for 6 and 2 years together, dealing with this trauma by myself. And he is all but living with the girl he cheated on me with. Every time I drive past his apartment, her car is there, sometimes even when his car is gone. He promises that she doesn't have a key and that when the baby is born, she won't get in the way of him being a father. She hates children and babies, cats and dogs. So clearly she's a super great person on top of knowingly sleeping with a married man. But at this point, it's been months of him knowing he's hurting me. We're still publicly married. His family has no idea about any of this. Only our mutual friends and my family know any of what's happened, though not with all the details I've put in this post. I should mention that when I did come face to face with this girl only once, she laughed at what she had done. And when I told her that she broke apart my family and took my daughter's father away before she was even born, she literally shrugged and muttered, "Yeah, I know," while looking so freaking smug about it. I only say this because I know people will say to not blame the affair partner, but only blame my husband who was the one who broke his vows to me. But I fully blame them both. She knew what she was doing. And so did he, and she seems to like knowing how powerful she was in this situation. He tells me often that he doesn't want to end our relationship, but that right now he isn't right for me. That he cannot be who he was because he messed up so badly. That he doesn't know how to fix it. Now he's going with, monogamy just isn't for him, even though he and his affair partner are living together, recreating the life we had, living very obviously in monogamy currently. It hurts so much because he's already replaced me with her. Some 20-year-old girl is sleeping beside my husband and having meals with him and sitting in his passenger seat. It just isn't how my life was supposed to go. I wish so much that I could stay firm on hating him because trust me, I do. And I've had several hours over the last few months where I make sure he knows what he did to me and how much I hate him for ruining the woman I was before this betrayal. But I also love him still, and I want the family I was all but promised. We couldn't get pregnant for nearly 3 years. And the month I did get pregnant, I literally told him, if it doesn't happen for us, it doesn't happen. I wanted to be a mom, but if it's not in the cards, I will come to terms with it. And I know I can be fulfilled in our relationship without a baby. And then I shockingly did get pregnant, and I felt like it was all falling into place finally, that we would be happy and us, like I pictured. But now with a little baby we both daydreamed about for years. I'm really unsure how Reddit works, and I know this post is so long, so no one probably read it, and I don't really know why I wrote it here anyways. I know in this situation he is in the wrong, and I don't need anyone to point it out to me. And I also don't want anyone calling me names for still loving this man who has disrespected and mistreated me so immensely over the last 4 months. It's just coming up on our anniversary, and I am desperately lonely in this quiet house that I now have to pack up all by myself, and I wanted a place to put my feelings. If you comment, please be nice. I feel stupid and weak enough as it is. I've been with him since we were both barely 19 and moved straight from my childhood home into an apartment with him. I've not spent a single adult year alone, and I'm just really sad all the time and don't know what to do. I try to go no contact with him, but we're selling a house, and I'm in my 3rd trimester with his baby. I just hate him, and I hate myself. I want him to wake up and see what he's doing, but I don't think he ever will because he has to avoid the accountability of his actions. And it's not like I could ever trust him again anyways. But now I have to co-parent a child with him for the next several years, and I don't feel strong enough for any of the future anymore. I don't get how he could do this to me. Now for the top advice before reading the update. I'm a sad pregnant lady who doesn't know how to move on from my husband of nearly a decade cheating on me. You need to add in strong. Seriously. You're super strong. Deciding to leave is really hard, and you've absolutely done the right thing here. Things are going to seem bleak, but they will get better. One day it'll hurt less, and then one day it won't hurt at all. He is the one losing here. He's thrown away a loyal partner and what could have been a happy family unit. All you've lost is someone you could never trust. It's very hard for me to feel strong, because it seems like this is the only thing I can think about every day. So thank you. It's difficult to not be hard on myself in this situation, but I do think you're right. I know that he is the one losing here. I just wish my daughter could have the life we both wanted for her for so many years, but he decided to ruin it for her. I read the whole thing. He and she both sound awful. I strongly suspect that one or the other will cheat again and it will blow up, and he will regret what he did. The whole thing about him saying you wouldn't take him back the second time and that he should just go through with it was absolute nonsense. I couldn't tell if you actually took that seriously, but you really shouldn't. It's hard to put a positive spin on such an awful thing, but the severe lack of character he has shown repeatedly indicates that this was a foregone conclusion and you shouldn't take him back even if he does say all the right things. I kind of wonder if he bailed on you, just so he could skip out on the difficulty of a pregnancy. I agree about it all blowing up eventually. I am waiting for him to regret it, but I just don't know if he's capable of that anymore. He is seriously nothing like the man I dated, married, fell in love with, and it all changed seemingly overnight. My brother and my dad have hypothesized that the baby coming freaked him out, but that it doesn't excuse anything, of course. Now for the update. If you don't want to read the whole post, the synopsis is essentially that my husband cheated on me after 8.5 years together while I was 12 weeks pregnant with our first child. It's now June 11th, and my daughter just turned 8 months old. My water broke and I drove myself to the hospital and then labored and gave birth alone. My daughter was born only 2 weeks early, and she was completely healthy and had no issues. She is doing amazing, and the love I have for her is so all-encompassing that sometimes I don't even know what to do. She's a great baby and is so loved not just by myself, but by my dad, my brothers, my aunt. She is adored by my whole family. Because we live with my dad, her birth has brought all of us closer than we've been in a long, long time. I absolutely love being her mom. My ex-husband was served divorce papers in February by my dad, who volunteered to be the one to do it, and our divorce was finalized in May. The way that my feelings for him changed almost in an instant after I had given birth to my daughter was shocking. But it was like as soon as she was born, just the thought of this man disgusted me. He visits for about an hour a week, once a week, and has done so since she's been born. We have a parenting plan in the works, but every time it's drawn up by my lawyer, he finds something else that's wrong with it and chooses not to sign. It's been very irritating having to deal with this man who I once loved and now don't recognize. And watching as he pretends on social media that he is an active, attentive father, when I've done quite literally everything for this baby, and he does the barest minimum he can get away with. This next part may be very shocking, but the girl he cheated on me with and moved into an apartment with directly from our marital home ended up cheating on him literally within the same week that our divorce finalized, and she was kicked out of his place. It took about a year, but he did come back groveling after all, which was absolutely wild to me. Now for the actual shocking part of this update, I have met a man. After spending my entire pregnancy alone and heartbroken, I had sworn off men and relationships, and then this one just kind of appeared in my life. I have horrible trust issues now, and it's been really hard considering the deep betrayal that happened to me last year, but my boyfriend is the most gentle, calm, understanding guy I could have found. We met when my daughter was 2 months old, and he started taking me on little weekend dates for just a couple of hours at a time. He was always very considerate of me having a newborn, which he reassured me several times over was not an issue, and he actually has experience working with kids in the past. In March, we had a conversation and defined the relationship. In these 6 months, he has met my family and has become one of my daughter's favorite people. I've met his brother and sister-in-law, and when his parents come into town later this month, he's introducing me and we're all getting dinner together. I feel lucky to have this man in my life and a stable father figure for my daughter, and I am really hoping he is actually who he's been showing me he is. Obviously, when my ex-husband came to apologize and cry for what he'd done to me, I was already very locked in with my boyfriend, but even if I hadn't been, the answer would have been no. Our house has not yet sold, and I'm kind of losing my mind about it, but there's nothing to really be done to help that matter. I know this may sound like revenge porn, but I promise it's not. Karma has just been working hard for me and my little bean. My boyfriend dotes on us and makes me believe in love again. He is so handsome and so sweet, and the complete opposite of who my ex-husband ended up being. I am really hoping he is a good egg because I accidentally fell in love with him when I didn't mean to. But I do now know that I was strong enough to leave a marriage with a baby on the way, so if he ends up screwing me over, I know I'll be strong enough to leave him too. The fact that my ex's affair partner cheated on him absolutely tickles me, to be completely honest. I'm still living with my dad, plus my 2 dogs and cat that he abandoned me with during my pregnancy. But honestly, it could absolutely be worse. My dad helps as much as he can and loves his grandbaby so much. And it's been so sweet watching him turn into this absolute softie of a grandpa. I don't know if anyone remembers me and my post, or if this update is necessary at all, but here it is. I am big time not in love with the guy who cheated on me, left me, and is an absent father to the baby I grew all on my own, and be raising all on my own. Edit. Thank you to those of you who left lovely ones and who messaged me because you couldn't comment. Maybe I'll do an update in a few years if anything needs updating. Also, I realize I forgot to say, neither he nor his affair partner stayed working at the same business for very long. So after I gave birth and no longer needed his insurance, they both were not working there for me to report their relationship. My ex-husband did make sure to take paid paternity leave and do nothing paternal with it. But no, I never got to report them to his boss. So long as he stayed technically employed through the end of the year when my own insurance took over, it was more helpful to leave it alone. Anywho, thanks for all the love to me and my baby girl, and the well wishes with my boyfriend. My Reddit experience has been very nice because of all of y'all. Sadly, might be time to take this to court or mediator, because it seems like he is using pettiness to cost you money. Hope he is paying child support, and glad everything has improved for you. Congrats on the squishy. Courts are very backed up, so I think that's why he's pushing so much, because he knows we won't get in for like a year, so there's no rush for him to sign. He has paid 3 months out of the 8 she has been alive, an agreed amount we discussed. Skip the first 5, big shock lol. And thanks, love the squishy. Last story. My husband told me he didn't find me attractive at all after I gained weight. I lost the weight, and now I feel different. Now what? Me, 24 female, and my husband, 27 male, have been together since I was 19. After a few months, I moved in. We've since bought a house together and finished college. Oh, and got married. When we first started dating, I was 140 pounds. I am 5'8", and he was 180. After a few years, I was almost 200 pounds. I know, a massive increase, but he also weighed 230, so I didn't think too much in it. After a while, he told me that I was big and no longer pretty, and that I needed to lose weight. I was shattered. I developed an eating disorder and felt like I was abusing my body to get to a certain weight. Well, I finally made it to 130 pounds, yet he is still at 230-ish. I don't even care that he weighs 230. But now he treats me completely different, such as now he is always trying to love on me and wants to hang out with me, which I thought is what I wanted. But now I feel worse because my weight really does determine how much he loves me. When I was almost 200 pounds, he wouldn't even kiss or hug me, only sex. I want to be loved for me, not just my appearance. I don't know how to feel. Tell him he's the fat and unattractive one now? I asked him if he was going to catch up and lose some weight, but all he said is that it's acceptable for him to be his size, but not for me. Wow, it's one thing to have physical attraction be important, but he is such a hypocritical ass. He always stands by that a woman shouldn't be bigger than a man when I was 200 pounds, yet I told him he was still bigger than me. He said I was too close to his weight, so it still applied. Time to lose another 230 pounds. As much as this sucks, it's time to ironically look at the gain here. You've discovered the actual truth of your relationship. This frees you up to avoid being part of an unhealthy, unfulfilling relationship. And find someone who really loves you for you and appreciates the value you bring to their life. Your husband has taken your presence in his life for granted, and it's time he realizes what he's lost.